We are coming to you live tonight from the Dunham School in Baton Rouge with the final statewide televised debate before the runoff election. Good evening to our viewers all across the state. We're broadcasting live to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. We're also streaming live online all across the state. We're now just 5 days away from the runoff election, so we bid you hello and welcome. I'm Fred Hickman from Local 33 News here in Baton Rouge, alongside my colleague Jackie Jovic from NBC6 News in Shreveport.
And here with us tonight, the two remaining candidates for Louisiana governor. Republican Senator David Vitter from Metairie and Democratic State Representative John Bell Edwards from Amite. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Here now are the rules for tonight's debate. Gentlemen, we will not have any opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. They will then get 30 seconds to answer any follow-ups. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 30 seconds to make a closing statement. We have more than 400 people in the audience tonight. It's a big gathering, so we'd like to ask all of you to please hold any applause until the end of the debate.
Before we get started, we want you to know you can follow the debate online. Just look for #LAGovDebate on Twitter and Facebook. We'll post background information on all of our questions for the candidates, statements they've made in the past, and extra information on the topics we'll talk about tonight. So be sure to follow along on Twitter, #LAGovDebate.
All right, gentlemen, let's begin with the big story breaking all around the world, and that, of course, are the attacks in Paris, France, and what those attacks mean for us here in Louisiana. In light of these attacks, Governor Bobby Jindal is demanding more information about the Syrian refugees being placed in Louisiana. Recently, 14 Syrian refugees arrived in New Orleans, and just this morning, Governor Bobby Jindal issued an executive order stopping any more from arriving. You both staked out different positions on the issues, and we'll begin with you, Senator Vitter. What do you think is the best way to approach the Syrian refugees?
Well, Fred, let's understand, the Paris bombing was perpetrated by at least one person who came into France as a Syrian refugee. That was a great vulnerability. And we face that threat now because President Obama is saying we're going to take at least 10,000 Syrian refugees into the United States, including relocating them in Louisiana. We already have some here. For months, I've said that's unacceptable. I've criticized President Obama's policies, I've criticized his plans, and I've said as governor, I wouldn't allow that to happen. And I have a consistent record of standing up to President Obama, fighting for border security, fighting for national security in that regard. My opponent has staked out a very different position. In fact, he staked out 4. But last night he said he would fully cooperate with President Obama, including in relocating Syrian refugees. Now today he's trying to change his tune. He's now had 4 different positions in 48 hours. I don't know where he is, but I know we can't trust where he might end up because he's always consistently supported President Obama, including in terms of immigration enforcement, or I should say non-enforcement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. We'll allow you a chance to answer that same question. What do you think is the best way to approach the Syrian refugees?
First of all, as I told all the people in Louisiana to start the runoff, David Vitter is desperate. He will lie, he will distort, it's what he does. It's who he is because he lacks a moral compass. On Saturday, I called for a halt to all Syrian refugees coming into Louisiana. I also expressed support for Governor Jindal's letter to the President demanding more information about those who are already here. Today, I immediately, when he issued the executive order, said I supported the executive order halting the further immigration, or I should say relocation, of Syrian refugees into Louisiana. This is about public safety. The #1 issue that we face as a government, and as governor, I will take it seriously. It's who I am. I know a little thing or two about protecting American lives. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy. I commanded paratroopers. I have the support of the Sheriff's Association, the Louisiana State Troopers Association, because they know that as governor, I will partner with them and work every day to keep the people of Louisiana safe. Senator, you missed key votes in the legislature, Congressman, you could have stopped this.
Would you like to respond? 15 seconds.
Absolutely, Fred. Look at John Bell Edwards' Facebook post yesterday. It says very clearly he would fully cooperate with President Obama, including in resettling refugees. That's what it says. Now, I realize he tried to change that tune today. Again, 4 different positions in 48 hours.
Thank you, Senator. We'll allow you 10 seconds.
That is not what the Facebook says. It says we will have a conversation to get the information about those refugees who are here. It uses the word conversation. He skips what I said Saturday. He skips what I said today. Because
But I want to have a conversation. I want to put a hold on this. When the Syrian refugees first came up in September,
you just bring the information when you could have done something about this in the Senate. You just
Moving on to the issues here in Louisiana.
with you.
We have much to get to, so let's move on. We have now.
Moving on to issues here in Louisiana and the campaign. The unique part about this campaign is even though you're from different parties, you both have similar positions on many of the important issues to voters. For voters watching for the first time, here's a scorecard to show where you both are very similar. You both have told voters you're pro-life. You both say you're open to using Medicaid money. And you both now said you are against federal common core. Mr. Edwards, we'll start with you. What sets you apart from your opponent on these issues?
Well, first of all, with respect to the Medicaid expansion, I have said for 3 years that I support the Medicaid expansion because it's the right thing to do to bring $1.6 billion of our tax dollars home to take care of the working poor in Louisiana as opposed to allowing Medicaid program. By the way, 14 of which have Republican governors. This is not right versus left. This is right versus wrong. We're going to do right by the people in Louisiana. We have some of the worst health outcomes. We have working poor people who need that care. I'm going to bring those dollars home, provide that care so that our hospitals get the reimbursements and so that they can stay strong and open for everyone. You know, when a hospital closes, it doesn't just close for the Medicaid population or the poor or the uninsured. It's going to close for everyone. And that's why we need to bring our tax dollars home and put them to work here in Louisiana. There's a lot of care that we can deliver for $16 billion over 10 years, our tax dollars. As our governor, I will bring those dollars back and put them to work here in Louisiana.
Jackie, what you laid out in the question is largely what John Bell was trying to portray in the campaign. Problem is his record is fundamentally different. And the pro-life issue is a perfect example. I'm glad he's personally pro-life. What has he done as a legislator? What are the public positions he's taken? He said in the questionnaire, abortion is a matter of choice. It's not a pro-life phrase. He said no in a questionnaire to supporting an end to abortion after the first trimester. Then when that came to light, he changed the answer in that questionnaire only a few weeks ago. He would not commit to fighting in every way possible to defund Planned Parenthood, to stop them from building an abortion mill in New Orleans. Good reason. The Gulf Coast head of Planned Parenthood enthusiastically supports it. So does another radical left organization, the Independent Women's Organization of New Orleans, clearly pro-abortion. He has an F from Family Forum on these significant issues. That's a very different record than mine. I have the endorsement of National and Louisiana Right to Life.
Over 8 years in the legislature, my record is 100% with the Louisiana Right to Life. On 28 separately scored issues, votes, 100%, Senator. And you know, I don't sit there and say that you're less committed to life because you supported Rudy Giuliani, who was both pro-choice and anti-gun. I don't say that about you because I don't believe that to be your position. But I will say this to you, Senator, you're a hypocrite.
I'm perfectly comfortable with who I am, with my family's love for me, and my work. That's earned me the endorsement of National and Louisiana.
Thank you, Senator. We're going to move on to the next question.
This next question, gentlemen, both of these are going to be specific to you. Mr. Edwards, we'll begin with you. Growing the Louisiana economy is going to be key in helping to solve the budget crisis. However, as a state lawmaker, you were given failing grade by the state's largest business association. On its annual legislative scorecard, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry said you're one of the least friendly state lawmakers to business. They've also said that the prospect of an Edwards election should scare the business community. So the question is, will you raise taxes on businesses, and how will you work with the Louisiana business community if you are elected governor?
Well, Fred, first of all, I would point out that the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry actually failed about 90 legislators this year because for the first time in 7 years, we didn't take a cuts-only approach. For example, LSU here in Baton Rouge, over $120 million less to support that university than 8 years ago coming from the state. And that's a cut of over 50%. We decided to do something different in the 7th straight year of revenue shortfall, and we reduced some tax credits and tax rebates. They didn't like that. Understand that they don't like that. But you know what? It's time to put Louisiana first, and we have to have an approach to revenue. I don't have a plan to raise taxes on this. In fact, my plan all along has been to reduce the corporate tax rate from 8% to 5% and make sure we do that in a revenue neutral way by eliminating the deduction for federal tax liability. That means the nominal rate and the effective rate will be the same, will be 5%. Businesses won't have to hire CPAs or tax lawyers to figure out what their tax rate
Okay,
is.
let me follow up there, sir. What about renewing the tax increases that you voted in favor of this year, which were almost entirely non-business?
Well, first of all, I dispute your characterization. They were reduction of tax giveaways, tax credits and rebates. We spent through the tax code just like we spent through appropriations. We did in the legislature this year reduce the tax expenditures, the tax giveaways to create savings that we then reallocated to higher priority items like healthcare and higher education. We had a safety net hospital system that couldn't operate unless we did that. We had a medical school in this report that couldn't stay open unless we did that. Universities and community and technical college systems all around the country, all around the state, needed that revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Senator Fenner, you have 30 seconds.
Well, Fred, the ratings you're talking about are lifetime ratings, nothing to do with just this year. John Bell has a lifetime rating from that organization of 27%. When I went to school, that wasn't just an F. I thought you got more points for putting your name right on the test. The National Federation of Independent Business, 25%. His lobby rating is lower than Mary Landers, Mitch Landers, Bill Jefferson, the bottom 10% this past year. That's not just an F. That is being hostile to small business.
Thank you, sir.
I give 100% to my wife. That's who I give 100% to.
We're moving on to the next topic.
The fact is, I was 15 years ago.
We must
We're moving on to the next topic.
And
Mr.
I
Senator
would
Edwards.
never suggest otherwise.
Senator Bitter, this question is specifically for you. If elected governor, you'll need to work closely with Democrats as well as your own party. Do you struggle to maintain support from Republicans? Lieutenant Governor Jay Darden is backing your opponent. According to the Louisiana Republican Party, 500,000 registered Republicans didn't even show up to vote in this past primary. With just 5 days left until the election, what can you do to energize and rebuild support from Republican voters?
Well, Jackie, I thought you were talking about real Republicans, but then you brought up Jay Darden. So I'm consolidating great conservative support all around the state. We see that every day. I feel it as well. Voters are keying in on two things. The fact that this election is about our future, and it's between two candidates with vastly different records. A Louisiana conservative versus a pro-Obama liberal. What conservative voters all around Louisiana are keying into. The vast differences that we've talked about. On Syrian refugees, vast differences. On being a pro-small business, vast differences. On education reform, I hope we get to that, vast differences. And they're voting and coming toward my strong conservative leadership.
Came out for early voting, and according to JMC Analytics, your opponent has a 15-point lead, so with 5 days left, what can you do to get Republicans?
Well, look, the early vote was certainly influenced by a lot of things, including huge Democratic money on the street. For instance, they paid for that. Gave them 3 drinks at a very adult New Orleans nightclub to pack them into a party. And you know what? I'd much rather depend on the hard work, the perseveration, and dedication of our volunteers and our advocates and on that purple party.
Senator, I was at that place in New Orleans with my wife. With my wife. And I gave yeah, you know, not as interesting as your date night, Senator. The West Louisiana Parish President, the 21st Judicial District Attorney, the Sheriff of Jefferson Parish, all Republicans supporting me. He doesn't mention them because then people will know I'm the one who can bring people together and move them
About 15 years ago. I was talking about last Thursday night. Issues for
We are moving on. We're moving on.
I would like to once again ask our audience to please hold your applause because we have an awful lot
I don't think that's going to work.
Mr. Edwards, this next one is